What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Maverick here with another episode of The God of High School. So, last episode, we get the results of Mori versus Dai, and, to the surprise of absolutely no one, Mori won, and, Dai made up with Mori and Mira and all the others, and they're all buddy-buddy again, right? Honestly, I felt like the entire thing was resolved a bit too simplistically. I guess maybe they had some other stuff to rush towards, right? Maybe the actual storyline, for instance. So apparently I'm not the only one that thinks this way, right? And indeed there are some people who are readers of the original work who are mentioning that we are going forwards at a very fast pace as well. So I can only give the anime the benefit of the doubt right now and say that it's saving its best for the latter part of the season. Similarly to Tower of God, which, became better and better as time went on. Well, mostly, anyways. So, in any case, where are we right now? Mori has won the preliminaries, so presumably the actual tournament is about to start. Mori is, of course, a shoo-in to participate. Maybe it's the top 3 that can participate, and so that's how Dai and Mira are also going to be able to attend as well. Otherwise, I think it'd be kind of weird for there to be like a main cast of characters, but only for Mori to be in the tournament, right? That doesn't really make sense. So, with the pace that we've been going forward so far, I expect us to maybe have the start of the tournament at the end of this episode, right? And I know that they probably have to have some time in between to talk about whatever story there is. Or they could surprise me and go right into it. Let's just find out right now. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh yeah, every single episode we've had, some uh some trickle of information in regards to the greater world. You got a bad cold, dude? What's with your nose? Okay, this is Mori's grandfather, right? I mean, I presume so. Huh. Alright. Yeah, I wasn't too surprised by that, to be honest. Although I did kind of feel like he was dead. Apparently not. Then again, they never really said that he passed away, right? So, I mean, I'm presuming that his grandpa is on the force of justice or whatnot, or balance, and then bad guys will be the bad guys. That's typically how these things work. Contradiction. There's nothing else. This opening really does suit this anime. Although I guess in a way you could also say that they're being kind of lazy, reusing the animations from the actual fights. It was pretty hype at the beginning, though. Year 6. And hey, it's episode 6. Well, hello. Oh, 2 weeks. So, probably by the end of this episode. Top 3 fighters. Okay. Really? It's a team competition. Okay. Oh. The 3rd place, right? Prop. Quit yapping when you're in the middle of a fight, dude. You would think as a BJJ user, you would be much more concentrated on the fight. I mean, he won. He can have the privilege of doing whatever the hell he wants. At least for now. I literally feel like I'm watching a fighting game right now. You know, I'm free on free as well. Sounds about right with the story so far. And can they tag team as well? You know, like do a combo and tag someone else in? Oh. Hmm. So there's 2 factions at least. Okay, good for you. Maybe a better question would be to ask him why he wants to become strong. Hey, there we go. Good job, Mira. Don't stop in the middle of the road, dude. Don't stop in the middle of the road, dude. Ooh, one arm. Wash. Hmm? Ooh. Yupa. Ooh. So are we gonna have like a quick training arc before it actually begins? Damn. Okay. I can't quite see what that symbol is. 一只神，神。这只指上帝之神。Oh. We're getting all fantasy-like all of a sudden. Damn. I mean, but we've already known that there were these kinds of really ridiculous abilities before, you know, with the Buddha hand and all that. Right. So, potential training arc? Oh yeah. Damn. I was like, where did I have seen him before? The announcer. Oh man. Right. So they each have to have some like mentoring of a sort. get stronger first? Up. Oh. Acupuncture? So, I guess a quick training arc for 2 weeks, right? What's with your nose, dude? Once he takes his eyeglasses off, he seems like a normal person, but then his nose just brings me out of it. Someone's here. Really? Turtle. And there's Song Kong there, Monkey King. That's the Buddha. See some dragons as well. Chug. So it's kind of like the magic or mana of this series, right? So do they have to be high school students? Yeah. Better get back, dude. Oh, it's this guy again. One of my favorite voice actors. Kenjiro. Yep. Sword, another sword user. All of a sudden seeing a Western style maid here. Certainly seems out of place. Alright. Ah, of course. You gotta have the Beggars Gang as well. The Loan Shark. Divine Doctor. Rebirth? The Tiger Cub. Okay. Looks like Detective Conan in that picture. So is this already 2 weeks later? Oh, it is 2 weeks later. Alright. Talk about blitzing pace. Nine teams. Ooh. Dead. North Chung. Yeah. Yeah, things are picking up. Things are certainly picking up. See you guys after this. Alrighty, so once again, this anime is astonishing me with its pacing. It's really in a hurry to get somewhere, right? It's basically putting us right into it. I was pretty much right in saying that by the end of this episode, we would be beginning the actual tournament, but I certainly was expecting a lot more to happen in between. I mean, in terms of actually showing us properly each and everything, right? But instead, we're just shown a bunch of new faces, you know, having a bunch of people thrown at us, lots of the tournament participants, and then we also got the six, or whoever they're supposed to be, and then we also have the mysterious Nox appearing on the scene as well, finally given a name, and finally revealing how they are a different faction to those that are organizing a tournament and whatnot. And I mean, just lots and lots of stuff thrown into it, and it's really just like, oh, okay, here you go. Let's just get the tournament started, right? And to be honest, with each and every passing episode, the more I'm convinced that the author of this must have been inspired by fighting games, right? I mean, it's got basically everything that you typically get within fighting games. You got the cheesy storyline, not really deep in any sort of way, but enough so that it encompasses every single character, because every single character has to have like their own backstory, like the reason why they are fighting here, so on and so forth. It's either for family, for friends, for love, etc., etc. And then also at the very end, all coming together in this tournament to search for this great prize or to stop someone else from getting the prize, right? It's got that kind of thing. It's got this evil organization as well, behind the scenes and whatnot, and so on and so forth, right? Like, even the team battles right now are reminiscent of fighting games as well. It's got the perfect, the perfect number, right? 3 fighters, which is what most fighting games typically use. Now, I don't quite know if this series is actually going to also feature like tag teaming as well, right? Like, maybe you can switch out in the middle of a fight and then tag team out and then carry on the fight again, or does it literally have to be like 1 against 1 against 1, like round 1, round 2, round 3, that kind of stuff. I do hope that we're able to have like a true tag team, like switching out in the middle of a battle, and then maybe we can see some pretty cool combos being pulled off, a la, Marvel vs. Capcom, Skullgirls, Tag Tekken, those kinds of fighting games, and like that's really awesome. I don't know, right? I literally don't know anything about this series, but well, hey, I can dream, right? I can hope for this kind of stuff. So, we didn't have a training arc, we didn't get to see it. I literally thought with 2 weeks in between here, and with all these new characters showing up, and apparently with each of them having their own, each of our main cast having a little bit of their own problems as well, I thought that maybe we're going to have a quick training arc before we get in the tournament. We don't, but I'm pretty certain that they did some things during these 2 weeks, right? So perhaps the way that they're going to utilize this is that we're going to have some flashbacks later on when each of them are fighting, and so during the flashback scene we'll learn what kind of new techniques or new skills that they mastered or learned, and show it off in an actual tournament setting here, right? So yeah, and that's basically it for the episode itself. Now, something I want to talk about for a little bit is in regards to this GOHS organization, right? I'm assuming that all those hooded figures that we've seen so far, they're all from the GOHS organization. And the one main thing I want to talk about here, actually, is during the middle of this episode when one of the GOHS leaders was fighting against Mori's grandpa, right? And then, summoning this huge sword out of the sky. And I was like, huh, do those symbols mean anything or whatnot? So I quickly, because that happened all too fast, right? And so I quickly went back and checked, and apparently the quote on the sword is actually in ancient Chinese, which quite peculiar, because I feel like this actually, just from that you can gain a lot of clues as well. So basically what it said was 无不知谁之子，象帝之先. It's ancient Chinese. It's not Chinese that's used now. It's you read it in ancient texts and whatnot. Although it is a fairly straightforward sentence here, and they really translate it there literally as well. Which, a literal translation, yeah, it does have that kind of meaning, but you have to actually put it into context in order to fully understand what that phrase actually means. Because that phrase actually comes out of the it's an excerpt from the Tao Te Ching, which is the most famous literary work by the, I guess, the great founder of Taoism, Lao Tzu. And I feel like here we need to make a quick segue into quickly explaining like what Lao Tzu and his Taoism really represents, right? So the way I like to think of it is that he is basically, or their philosophy, their school of thought is basically like a bunch of hippies, or is hippies the right word? Or maybe elves. Like, they're like elves, the Western, the classic Western fantasy sort of elves, high elves, basically. So basically what he preaches and what their school of thought really pertains to is that you need to live in harmony with the world, right? You need to temper your desires. You shouldn't have too much want for anything. You have to, just go with the flow, basically, and don't do anything that goes against the flow of the world, goes against the flow of society, and so on and so forth. So live a long, conflictless life, and don't overexert yourself, etc., etc. Basically, knowing your own place, like knowing what you should do, knowing your place in the universe, in the world, and be satisfied with it. That's basically what he is preaching. So you guys can see why I termed them as a sort of kind of hippies, right? And at the center of the philosophy is basically the concept of Tao, which it's really hard to there's not really a direct translation here. Indeed, it's a very sort of mystical thing even when described within Taoism. But basically, Tao is, you can consider it as the natural order, the natural way of things. It's just what drives the world forward. You can term it karma or fate or whatever you want to call it. I think the best translation I can come up with is something like the source, right, with a capital S. In some fantasy works they talk about like the source being like literally the source of everything, and that's exactly what Lao Tzu is preaching as well, and that's what this, coming back to this episode, that's what that quote actually means. So the translation here is saying, I know not whose child it is, it existed before God. Like, again, that from a direct kind of translation that works, but you have to actually put it into a context of what it was talking about in the literary work of Tao Te Ching. And basically what it's saying there is actually describing the concept of Tao. Basically, it's saying that Tao, or the source here, is this super, it's a supreme thing. It's something that is completely it just is, right? There's nothing else you can describe about it. It's literally higher even than God, basically, because God came out of this source. God came out of this sort of this natural order of things, basically. So it represents something even higher than God. And because it is so, it's just so great and awesome and so everywhere, it's really hard to describe. And that's basically what Lao Tzu was saying in Tao Te Ching, and that's what this quote is actually trying to represent. It's something that you don't know, but it exists even before God, basically. So yeah, that was like a big tangent here, but I had to explain some things in order to really put the context of the quote in a way that you guys can understand. So that's one thing here, but based on this, right? Based on we knowing that they are actually utilizing some concepts of Taoism, we can actually go forward even more a little bit, right? Because Taoism, there's actually two kinds of Taoism, two kinds of things that are referred to as Taoism. One is the Taoism school of thought, which is more of like a sort of philosophical school, philosophical teachings and whatnot, and really, I guess, more similar to what Lao Tzu was actually talking about when he was still alive, where it is debated whether Lao Tzu actually exists or not, or it's like a collection of scholars, but we'll not get into that. But basically, it was more of a sort of philosophical school of thought, right? But then there's this other sort of Taoism that's actually religious based. It's sort of like a religion here, which takes some concepts from Buddhism and then also adds on basically think of it as Buddhism expanded, right? Buddhism is basically a small piece of all the different stuff and deities that Taoism has. It's completely crazy. Like, they got this emperor that, they got god of this, god of that, supreme beings everywhere. There's more than one. There's definitely not only one god. There's like literal, hundreds, thousands of deities, each having their own kind of thing. And then there's the king of this and that, again, a deity titled king or whatnot. So it's basically like completely crazy, right? So even the concept of Sun Kong or whatnot, they consider the Monkey King to be a sort of god, but only within this sort of Taoist context here, right? So I think based on this and based on what we can clearly see these Knox hooded figures are trying to do here, I think we can safely infer that they are perhaps practitioners of Taoism, or Taoist, if you will, and utilize, and especially having this sort of, because through these episodes up to now, we do see that there is this sort of strange supernatural ability, supernatural sort of thing here, right? So I think we can safely infer that, yeah, these are Taoists, and they're following a particular sect of their religion, and you know, they're doing these things for religious purposes in a sort of way, which you can basically kind of get even without me saying this, right? They definitely seem like a cult of some sort, right? But you know, adding on this sort of context into it, then you can really see, oh yeah, they are definitely religious based, and so on and so forth. But then again, the actual philosophical Taoism isn't anything like this. In fact, they would probably be Lao Tzu would probably be condemning them for doing something to destroy nature and whatnot. Not that he was an environmentalist, but it's just that, you know, exerting all this effort and then you know, wielding this sort of power that really sort of breaks against the flow of nature and whatnot. That's definitely something that he would disapprove of, I would think. So yeah. But anyways, that came off as a bit of a tangent here, but I thought it was interesting, and I just like to share with you guys, because that's definitely not something that most people would be able to get. I mean, I'll fully admit I'm not that familiar with the Dao Jing, because you know, you can basically kind of infer by me talking about them. I don't particularly subscribe to their theory or whatnot, but it is, you know, it is. The funny thing is, the older I get, the more that I kind of appreciate what Lao Tzu was trying to do, because it does sound nice, right? Just, you know, relax, dude, chill, you know, just go with the flow, something like that. So, hey, who knows? And I thought it was kind of interesting to share that this sort of knowledge and pertaining to, because it's pretty unusual to see ancient like Chinese, actual Chinese, not the kanji kind of Chinese, but actual Chinese phrases in anime. And not only that, but it's actually ancient Chinese as well. So that's really, really rare. So anyways, that's it for this episode. I guess in the next one we just kick it off and we start fighting, and hopefully it is going to kick ass. So see you guys next week, and bye bye.